Welcome to St. Peter. Beautiful place. Best environment right now on the planet. St. Peter. Big up St. Peter every time. Enough respect.
My name is Robbie Whitehead, and I've been a proud resident of St. Peter for the last 2 decades. I absolutely love St. Peter for a number of different reasons, but I'll just name 3. The first one, of course, has to be the beaches. I have a personal bias, but I do believe that St. Peter possesses some of the best beaches in the island, and if you don't believe me, come and see these beaches for yourself. In terms of development, I think this is a massive opportunity for any investors to take advantage of these beaches to create even a hive of activity, not only for persons in St. Peter, but throughout Barbados. Secondly, I absolutely love Spicetown. I would normally describe it as a quaint town. You know, it's unusually old-fashioned and attractive. There's so much history and culture here. I do think that this is an excellent investment opportunity as well. It can be so profitable, not only for the investors, but also for the residents of St. Peter, and by extension, all of Barbados. Thirdly, I do have significant attraction for Farley Hill. I know that a number of shows are being held there, but somehow I think something else can be done with Farley Hill. It is simply something to admire and experience. So my advice is to get to St. Peter, experience the beaches, experience Spicetown, experience Farley Hill. And I only recently found out that Six Men's apparently was named after 6 brothers who happen to be my ancestors. So I have a personal affinity with St. Peter.
My name is Shakira, and Spicetown in a nutshell is home to me. I have a love-hate relationship with Spicetown because as a newcomer, I didn't know what I have or had until I traveled. I had the opportunity to visit South Carolina, and when I went to downtown Charleston, it was almost as if it was a mirror image of somewhere that I knew. On returning home, I realized that Charleston was Spicetown. And it was amazing to see that the similarities were so close. The architecture, the ironwork, and even the language, because those of you who know about the Gullah Geechee, when they speak, it sounds like a Bajan speaking to you. Spicetown is rich in history. Arlington House Museum does a great job to showcase the history that surrounds this historic site. Spicetown is just a beautiful place, so I would encourage anyone or everyone to take a drive, a trip down to Spicetown and see what it has to offer and appeal to you. Now, as it pertains to the parish St. Peter has lots to offer. And in recent times with the Regathering initiative, I am glad to see that Farley Hill National Park is not a stagnant place. It has become a hub of activity, from the lights at Christmas to the Valentine's promotion, then the Family Day. It has become a place that you can go and truly enjoy it at any time or any moment of the day. St. Peter is growing. We have Haman's Market, a lovely initiative that has the idea of vendors coming and selling and trading and almost like a street atmosphere, but within a enclosed setting. And that street party on the opening of St. Peter Regathering was a great idea. It made me feel like Oistins was brought to Speightstown. And in essence, St. Peter, Speightstown is a town after all. Why can't we have activity and festivity on Fridays or on Saturdays? It really made Speightstown feel alive. And St. Peter has a lot to offer. People just need to come and tap into what is there already. One thing I would really like to see would be the water taxi operation. A while ago, it was implemented for a special event where you can get from Bridgetown to St. Peter in the comfort of a nice boat in no time. I think that as Barbadians and as entrepreneurs, we are overlooking this area that can be tapped into. Other Caribbean islands have this service where they can go island hopping via ferry or a small boat. And as small as Barbados is, we got tons of traffic congestion. Every day you don't feel like driving. It would be great that I can come down to the jetty, hop on a water taxi, get down to town, do my shopping or go to work, and come back home the same way, not having to worry with the hustle and bustle of going through the roads. We have ports, so let's use them. Let's be smart about it.
Hi, I'm Epi Ben, owner of Duchess Catering, the brand in Speightstown. It was formerly Val's Hideaway for 29 years, but it is now mine for the last 5 years. What does Speightstown mean to me? I actually grew up in Speightstown. I was born and raised in Speightstown. I lived here my entire life, and Speightstown is just one of the greatest parts of Barbados, and it is a hidden gem, actually. That's what I think about it. It is a hidden gem.
Hello, so what St. Peter actually means to me is Speightstown. Today we're celebrating Speightstown, which is great for me because I have fond memories of coming down here when my daughter was younger, and we would go to the bakery, buy a whole set of baked goods, then go on the boardwalk, sit, eat, watch the lady feed the cats, and just have a nice Sunday afternoon. And that for me is what Speightstown means to me. Also, I remember years ago, right here at this building actually, there used to be a small restaurant, and this restaurant now actually houses that big tree. They kept the tree, and so Speightstown means, St. Peter means Speightstown to me. I know there are other parts, but for me it's Speightstown.
St. Peter means a lot to me. It's a beautiful place.
What St. Peter means to me, St. Peter just means home. This is where I live, this is where I grew up, and this is where everything is for me, St. Peter.
St. Peter to me means tranquility. It's the calmness. You can look around and see here. If you want a place just to come and relax and be warm with nature, St. Peter's the place. When we think about St. Peter, we think about the platinum course, the gold course. But it's not about a value in money, but it's about the pricelessness of St. Peter. People travel from all over the world just to come here and enjoy this calmness, this beauty. And if you're a spiritual person and you want a place that you could become one with nature, this is the place to be. St. Peter also is a very safe environment. Then you walk here and you walk around and you'll meet nice people. People are very nice persons, are very helpful. The service also you'll find you get the best service I can tell you on the island is in St. Peter. I've never had a bad experience going to any of the places. Also, if you need something to eat, you need to go to a restaurant, you can get, for the cheapest food, you could probably spend about $10, and if you want something more expensive, you can spend that amount of money. So St. Peter, as I said, is tranquility, is about the persons within the area. I also love to see some programs implemented for the young persons within the community. For instance, we are in Barbados and we are a small island surrounded by lots of water. So we could implement more programs, for instance, swimming and stuff like that, where we can then export that into sports. Persons going to the Olympics, and we can put more into it. You know, this is how then we can enhance the image of St. Peter, because, you know, as in the country, sometimes we forget about St. Peter. We also need programs for the youth to help, you know, help guide the youth. If we could get like Big Brother programs where the older persons then can motivate. Even there are some things, and we're talking about the culture of St. Peter. There are things like fish nets and stuff that the older persons then can come there and teach the younger people how we can create the fish nets. All of those customs that were here within this parish, we can look at these things, making kites, again with the cane trash and stuff like that. So we need to pass on those old traditions to our younger generation and keep that spirit of St. Peter still going. So we need some programs where we can bridge that gap with the older generation and the young persons, you know, keep the young persons occupied. So we have to find a way then how we can then encourage young people to keep the tradition of St. Peter going. For those persons who may not be from St. Peter and looking for a place where you could de-stress, St. Peter is a good place. You can come, sit down with your folding chair, relax, watch the beautiful sunset in St. Peter. Persons pay lots of money and travel from miles away just to come to Barbados and to St. Peter to enjoy this beautiful parish. And they can do it for free, and that's why I'm here today, because it is free for me.
St. Peter for me is, you know what, first and first, it's home. It's just feel like home. And I fell in love with St. Peter about 20 years ago. When I ended up, you know, I had a girl that was from St. Peter. It's always start with a woman, right? Yeah, so I fell in love with St. Peter that time, and then what it offers too is almost like a hidden away gem. You know what I mean? A diamond in the rough. And I remember even like my favorite place in St. Peter is Spikestown. And Spikestown in itself is a jewel, you know. And I mean, for years I was saying like we need to develop Spikestown more, get more people on it. I can remember when a lot of people had initiatives for Spikestown and everything was just falling short. But now St. Peter is taking off with, you know, thanks to people like Baya and Sand Street Bistro, Local and Co, Little Bristol, 111 East, you know what I mean? And the Coast, the newest restaurant, the Coast, and obviously us here at Caboose, right? But yeah, Spikestown just changing, and I love it, and I can see. And there's still a lot of room for improvements. There's loads of room for improvement in terms of the simplest things. Like I think we need some showers for when people go to the sea, maybe some locker facilities to help secure stuff. But it's growing. It's happening. It's happening. I like how the jetties being operated right now. Much more boats to start docking. The smaller boats, the smaller cruise ships that started coming in now. We're seeing direct business from that in this area. So yeah, I love it. Other things I would love to see for St. Peter is, and also too, this is more directed towards Spikestown. I would love people to take a page out of Local and Co's book, and rather than demolishing buildings, restore the buildings, because then it's our heritage that you know what I mean, that they're restoring also. So, and it's in order to go forward, we got to know where we came from. You know what I mean? So I just want more of that for St. Peter and Spikestown in general. Yeah.
Good night once again. Prime Minister. Take a seat. Thank you very much. So I will turn you over at this stage to my co-host, Tahir Bulbulia. He's much better looking and has a much more presentable voice than mine. Again, remember, bathrooms are on the left. First one you get to will be ladies. Second one, gentlemen, don't mix them up. There are 3 of the stores, the shops are open tonight to serve you. They don't normally open on Monday night, but they're open just for you. So count yourself special. You can get rotis, you can get samosas, or you can get different curry foods. Those are the 3. Like I said, I'm still waiting for the ice cream parlor to open. That's all I'm interested in right now. Again, remember as well, if you are going to speak, you're going to the desk at the back on the left, on my left, and they'll take certain information from you. If it is a challenge that you have, a problem you have that you want to get some help with, but you don't need to come to the microphone, there's a desk on the right. They'll take your information, and one of us from Prime Minister's office will get back to you within the next 24 hours to try to sort out whatever the issue is. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Tahir, and he will introduce or invite the first speaker.
Good evening, all. I can't really hear you. Good evening, everyone. That's a lot better, Madam Prime Minister, honorable ministers, members of the cabinet, especially invited guests, the St. Peter Organizing Committee, members of the media, and all the shop holders and shop owners down here. It's indeed a pleasure to host this Ideas Forum in St. Peter. So firstly, let me thank Roy and the Prime Minister for giving me this esteemed opportunity. Secondly, I want y'all to put your hands together for the St. Peter Parish Organizing Committee. They did indeed put on an excellent showing for the month of February. Jackie, please stand. And the members of your team that are here. I've been to many of the events, and they were certainly very, very well done. Thirdly, as my family would know, when they ask when we want to go for a drive, where shall we go? And I always say, let's come to the Speightstown Jetty. Everybody gets annoyed at that because they want to go to the bakery in Speightstown and then go on the jetty and sit down and eat the jam puff. So that's a lovely place to be. But also, and I want my parents to shut their ears right now, because I proposed to my wife on the Speightstown Jetty as well. So St. Peter is close to my heart. But it is certainly an exciting opportunity, and I want for y'all, as y'all come out here to share your ideas, think of a few things before you share your ideas. I know everybody thinks that my idea should be taken, my solution should be invested in, my solution should be picked up by a ministry. But I want y'all to think of a few things before you present your idea. Yes, it is an issue. Yes, it is a problem. Yes, you may have a problem. What is the solution to the problem that you're having? What is the proposed idea to the solution that you're having? Does it impact just me and my family and my household? Does it impact my community? Ask yourself these questions. How many people perhaps are impacted? And then when you ask yourself these questions, how does this issue and my solution at the community level fit into what's happening nationally? So how can I find a solution that works at the community level but fits into what's going on nationally and then can be transformed internationally? Because you have to fit into what's going on nationally, what's the focus nationally. So if we can blend the two and fit what's happening at the community level, build it to the national level, and then take it international, then your solution and your idea can definitely be a lot more viable. But also too, the second question I want you to ask yourself, 2 things you can get asked. What is the return on the investment? What is the money coming in? What is the money going out? What is the return on the investment? Is it empowering people? Is it enfranchising people? Is it having an impact on people? How many people is it going to have an impact on? So just be mindful of these things when you come up to share your idea and your solution. And just reminder, as Roy said, you're going to have 5 minutes because there's lots, I look through the list, there's lots of ideas coming in. So we want to be fair to everyone, to give everybody a fair chance. I do not want to cut anybody. They already say it's cut off people's think from brass stats. I don't want that idea here at Ideas Forum either. All right? So let me be respectful of time. Let me be respectful of our fellow parish neighbors and colleagues, and let me jump straight into it. All right? So I'm going to ask Roy. I'm not sure it was the order, but the first person can come up and give your presentation. So the first person on the list is Mr. Alexander O'Neill. Are you here, Mr. Alexander O'Neill? Rico Yearwood. Rico is coming? No. Okay, so please give Rico a big round of applause. Welcome him to the podium. Yeah, so you will come from the, well, my right, your left of the stage, all right? So give Rico a big round of applause, please.
Hi, good evening all. Slight apologies for reading my contribution, but when Mr. Morris called me this morning, I was on my way to work. I had all intentions of sitting in the crowd like anyone else. All right, here we go. All right, my solution relates to cricket clubs in Barbados. We have cricket clubs in Barbados which once formed the pillars of our communities and were the bedrocks for harnessing community talent, which in turn produced cricketers of the highest quality. Cricket and club life were integral parts of society growing up, and it is not uncommon to see entire villages out supporting their respective clubs on any given weekend. Outside of the actual cricket, there was a vibrant club life. There was a passion for the game, passion for the community, and passion for the cricket club. However, as other sports started to command the attention of our children, and the elder statesmen of these clubs drifted away from playing cricket, we saw a gradual decline in interest in cricket clubs. It may even be argued that clubs are losing touch with the communities and merely operate from the physical location without any established links to the community. Players may come and play but have no emotional attachment to these clubs, and when they go and get stuff, they can pack up and go elsewhere, and the cycle usually repeats itself. Moreover, what we are seeing now is the occasional cricket clinic. In St. Peter, anyone who played cricket in St. Peter would have been familiar with Mr. Richard Straker. He used to offer cricket practice on Saturday mornings, and there was the Northern Cricket Academy in St. Peter run by Mr. Adrian King, who would have mentored Pedro Collins, Fidel Edwards, and Corey Collymore. But sadly, the academy seems to have dissolved with his passing. The model that exists where cricket clubs and cricket clinics/academies operate as stand-alone entities and not two interconnected bodies dependent upon one another for success is unlikely to yield results. We have seen in Barbados and in St. Peter in particular, once vibrant clubs such as Bristol fall by the wayside. What I am proposing is to identify specific clubs in Barbados with the requisite facilities, organizational structure, and efficiency, where you can have these clubs set up to be the lifeblood of sports clubs and provide the clubs with the technical expertise and funding. In St. Peter, we have the Boscobel Sports Club. We have the Diamondshire Cricket Club in Diamond Corner, whose home is the Keith Boyce Pavilion. And if you're speaking about heritage and legacy in St. Peter, these academies will support the development of young sportsmen and women in Barbados to hopefully develop the next Keith Boyce, the next Corey Collymore, Kurt Edwards, and what's not. The cricket usually starts at midday in Barbados during the cricket season, and we can have these academies running prior to the start of play. Create a sense of family and community within these clubs, as well as continuity. The academies will have a Big Brother program where a senior player will be responsible for the integration of these players leaving the academy and joining the senior cricket team. The Big Brother program will have classroom sessions focusing on academics, public speaking, media training, substance abuse, leadership, and soft skills. The academy will not only focus on developing cricket abilities, but also ensuring personal growth in all aspects of life. I am a university student as well, so I am familiar with the Give Back program at UWI. So we could have students give of their time offering skills from their particular area of study to help build out the skill sets within these academies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Yearwood. Really like the idea of utilizing the students from the Faculty of Sport as well, so I must commend you for that. I saw Mr. Alexander O'Neill. He was supposed to be the first person. I think he came into the room. So Alexander O'Neill, if you can come to the podium to give your intervention. Also, when you come to the podium, please give your name and your address. So Rico, if you can just give that to the persons at the desk in the back. Alexander, you have the floor. Just give your address and your name.
Hi, good evening, everyone. See a lot of familiar faces here. I'm Alexander O'Neill. I'm from Rosehill, St. Peter. I was a former ambassador, parish ambassador for St. Peter, and a former member of the Parish Independence Committee. So, I'm slightly nervous. My thoughts are for Speightstown. I think that as a town, it needs to be more lively. I believe that we need to bring more activity to the town. For example, we had Speightstown Alive, and that shows the potential that can manifest, that can be manifested, I should say, in St. Peter. I think that Speightstown could be a hub for jobs as well, and that's why I believe that a municipal authority should be established in Speightstown. First, to drive economic development. The goal for that authority should secure or foster business, go and secure deals so that people can come and set a shop, promote the town as a place to come and do business. Secondly, I believe that this authority would help the Member of Parliament, as he is only one person, and if he's focused on one task, then other stuff can't be done, or if he's focused on that task, other stuff can't be done. I believe that more hands on deck would help speed up the development of the town, and that's why I think that having a dedicated authority for the space would be necessary. Further, I believe that to keep it simple in terms of governance, I think that having an elected mayor would be the right fit, a single elected individual instead of an assembly. And yeah, those are my thoughts. Impromptu, I must say, but I believe that that is a viable development for our parish and our town. Thank you.
Alex, before you go, you were my colleague at UE. So happy to see you here again. But how do you see this working hand in hand with the same program you came through, the parish ambassadors? So how do you see this working hand in hand or collaboratively?
I would say that effectively the parish committee kind of serves that purpose. However, because it's not a dedicated authority or a dedicated body, people volunteer. It doesn't have the, I don't want to say substance, but it doesn't have the energy or the constantness, rather, I should say, to speed up that development or have greater development within the parish, within the town.
Okay, thank you so very much. Please give him a round of applause. We're moving right along. Just a reminder that if you want to make a presentation, you can go to the back. We have another table for issues and a table for solutions and ideas, okay? So the persons at the back will guide you in the right direction. Now we have Mr. Stephen St. John. Mr. Stephen St. John, you have the floor, sir. Just a reminder to stay where you're from in St. Peter.
Hi, good evening to all. Madam Prime Minister and your cabinet and our MP for St. Peter. Nice to see you all. Well, my solution tonight is that with the Hurricane Beryl and all the erosion that went on along the coastline and also in the fishing villages that we have in St. Peter, that the seawater breaches all the shallow areas along the coast. And I was thinking about it, being a diver all of my life. I worked as a commercial diver, did a lot of working on jetties and things like that. I even helped with the jetty in Speightstown. I put my initials out there on it as well. So anyhow, get to my point is that looking at how the ocean comes into the land, my solution is that the water comes in, hits the coastline, and it will breach, especially if it's hurricane swells. So I was thinking about it, and I thought that if we build the coastline and make like a U-turn when the swell hits the coast, and the sea will just come hit, the waves will hit it, hit that U-turn, and then it will go backward instead of coming over and then causing all the destruction. So if we can think about building it in a way that it will reverse the swell, and doing that, when it reverses, because it wouldn't breach, it will hit and turn, it will hit the second wave that's coming and reduce the power of the wave. And I think that is a good solution to solve some of the erosion that's going on the coastline. And, you know, the coastal conservation, you know, they come and they put lots of boulders, and that would help. But sometimes when they put the boulders, I find that you get erosion further down the coast because they're only solving that immediate problem wherever they put the boulders, but they create another problem because nature have a way of giving and taking. The coast, the beach, the sand, certain times of the year it will come in close and then Mother Nature will just take it and move it, but then it will come back. But having boulders place certain places, yeah, I mean, it's a good idea. And, you know, I just think that sometimes it works and other times it creates more of a problem. So that was my solution for solving the erosion from the coast. And it would help a lot of villages along Sixmens. It will help in Sherman's, in St. Peter. And I think that some of the engineers could look into that by just building something that can just curve that wave, that it wouldn't just come over then and breach and create all the problems that we had with Hurricane Beryl. And the future is that it's going to get worse. So that is my solution for trying to solve some of the problems as far as the sea, you know, the erosion that goes on along the coast.
Okay, sir.
And that's it.
Another point?
Well, I have another point too. As far as having cruise ships come into Speightstown, I see they have placed some buoys out to sea, and I think that working with jetties and repairing them, and that maybe if the cruise ships come in and we can have something called like dolphins, where you make some mini piers, and the ships can actually come into port and just face to the west, and you can just like secure the cruise ship, so if there's bad weather and they have to leave in a hurry, they'll already be facing to the west, and you can secure the boats from either side in the stern and to the bow of the boats, and I think that is a good solution as well. So thank you all, and have a good night.
Thank you so very much, Stephen. Certainly an innovative idea. Moving right along now. Next up we have Sherry Boyce. Please give Sherry a big round of applause.
Good night to everyone. It's so wonderful to be here with us in St. Peter. Are you asking a question? Good. My name is Sherry Boyce. I am from Johnson Road, Boscobel, St. Peter. I am the community advocate as well. We all know in life there always is a solution, but we as a people have to make that solution to make our people and our country what it is. My solution tonight, mainly more an idea or an initiative. I would like Farley Hill, as we saw it lovely decorated in December with all the lights, to host an art showcase, a human gallery where persons express themselves in art form, giving all the artists around Barbados and the youth such opportunity to display their talent in constructing opportunities for themselves, both locally and internationally. The dream, the vision, is to host an art in the park, since it's Farley Hills Park, and use that theme to bring our people to a developing stage where we can not only show their talent, but show what is within them, and use such opportunities, to greater our people. My next initiative, years ago, we once had a dental clinic within the Marisburg Polyclinic, just in St. Peter. We no longer can look at having persons leaving the north to travel to go to town to have such services. We have to look at both our internal and external patients, which is our staff, our people, our youth, to make sure that this service will be at least come back to the north, where you can bring persons from outside the north into our family in St. Peter. That is my hope. That is our vision. That is our purpose. Good night, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Sherry. And I really love the idea for utilizing Farley Hill in a much better way. And I really want to commend the NCC for the lighting show they had during Christmas, during the December period. So I think you all need to give them a big round of applause. Lots of people did come out and support that. If you can get more events like that at Farley Hill. And I remember, I think it was Friday night, y'all had, for Valentine's as well, there was an event up there. So I think if we can make Farley Hill a cultural space, it can certainly bring a lot of benefit to St. Peter. So Sherry, I really commend you for putting forward that idea. We know things, but when they're brought forward in these forums, perhaps they can be accelerated a little quicker. So I'm now going to move on to the next person, Mr. Revelino Simmons. You have the floor, sir. I had the opportunity to work with this man on Saturday night, producing the tape ball final at Weymouth on Flow TV. It was a man from Australia messaged me today and he saw the feed, so congratulations to you, sir.
Thanks. Good night, everyone. I really wanted to, I work within media.
Where are you from, sir?
Revelino Simmons, French Valley, St. Peter. I've worked in the creative industries all my life. However, for up-and-coming filmmakers and everything else, there's limited opportunities. Not only creative industries, software development, you know, we have UE, we have Samuel Jackman doing all sorts of development. But we have world-class professionals here, but the opportunities just aren't there. I'll give you an example. There's a guy, Raul Stewart. Raul was started at CBC, works all over the world, South Africa, wherever else, doing cricket, whatever else, crews. He's in Pakistan right now. And there's other crew members, probably about 9, 10 of us, would do that. However, opportunities are limited. However, there's a big leveling of the playing field right now. AI is creating more opportunities. And rather than Barbados being on the back foot and waiting to see what the rest of the world is doing and waiting before it's too late, I think we can make a move now. I'll give you an example. There's a youngster came out of UE last year, and he's been messing around with AI and LLMs. It means that what he's developed a software, and what he's developed, it's not in the cloud. That's the problem. You're sharing your information in the cloud. It's on his computer. He has an AI for media houses, does a number of things. Every company we've shown it to, they've wanted to license it. We've actually licensed in this software all around the globe, and we have a pilot project going on in the US with it. So I think this is an opportunity for us to pull together all of these youngsters, whether it's UE, Sam Jackman, BCC, and drive them in new directions. I'll give you an example. Animation would have taken about 500 people to work on an animation before. Right now, I could go to my phone and say I want a Pixar-style animation, and I'm starting to create scenes already. And it's just one person. The ability for a team of 3 and 4 people to create media content like never before is available now. And I think we have to be at the forefront of that, because before we can rival the studios in the US and wherever else. And I can show you where the opportunities are. Tyler Perry was going to do $1 billion investment in more studios, and they stopped it recently when he saw these AI softwares coming out recently. I think we have to be there and create innovation clusters or whatever you are. Whether it is at the community level and you just have a room that's available for people to come and meet with similar skills, and someone bringing them together with their ideas to form that cluster, to bring that idea to market. Very simple things. It's not $1 million, it's not a lot of money, but I think we need to start doing this to move further. There are so many opportunities in music and everything else. It's about 30 different opportunities right now. I don't have enough people to chase things, but there's so many opportunities available right now.
Riv, just one question for you. If there was one issue, I know you spoke on media, music, different. If it was one issue in Barbados, what would be the most pressing issue for you to implement AI within?
Well, I look at everything from a media perspective because that's where I've worked. Unfortunately, we've had one TV station all of our life in Barbados. There's not enough work for all these people that are working cameras and everything else, and to build their skills. We need a strong platform on the ground where we can show our projects and programs that we're developing in order to carry it to the international market. I have a show that I am on episode 230 right now, and it's been going for like 4 years. I syndicate in the US, across the Caribbean. I think it's those type of opportunities. Now with AI and us developing, you need a smaller team, and you can produce higher quality to move it to market. I think we have to look at those things and try and help us to get these markets and our stuff available, visible, more visible. It's very difficult. YouTube is a hard market to make money, especially in Barbados. We're one of the few countries in the world you can't make money off of YouTube, which is very, very difficult for us locally. So we have to look at these opportunities and maybe go different routes in licensing to get our content out there rather than YouTube. But AI is the key to it, and we have to jump on this technology early. I don't mind helping, giving away time free so that we could try and develop this further and bring together young people that have skills to take advantage of them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rivalino. First, or before we go further, let me take this opportunity to welcome to Ideas Forum the students of the Courage and Paris School. Please stand and be acknowledged, as well as your teacher. It's a pleasure having you. These are opportunities for our young people to recognize that the floor is open to them, open to you, and if you have ideas, not just for Ideas Forum, but if you have ideas, make sure that you make them count. Don't be afraid to express your ideas. Thank you very much for coming. The MP for St. Peter reminds me that it's Amalgamation Week. I think he's trying to embarrass me as a Courage and Parry Old Scholar. But it is Amalgamation Week, yes, and I'm a proud Courage and Parry Old Scholar. Now, during the course of Ideas Forum last month, and throughout the period of the 2 years that we did the Paris Speaks, one of the issues that came up repeatedly, particularly in the rural districts, was buses, bus service. And we've seen, since the new government, since the BLP came to power, we've seen improvements, largely through the addition of a substantial fleet of electric buses. But we also recognize that just the importation of buses is not the solution to the challenges that we have, since they are much broader than 50 buses or 100 buses. Last time we spoke, Prime Minister gave the assurance that there were also some other buses that are on the way to join the Transport Board fleet, and also that she committed to making additional funds available to expand that fleet even further beyond those that are already planned. But like everything else, manufacturing buses, getting them across the Atlantic takes time. But in the meanwhile, if you're standing at a bus stop waiting for a bus, being told that a bus is on the way from China doesn't help you. We were planning tonight to have an actual presentation by the CEO of the Transport Board. But if you were following the news today, you'd recognize that he was in the hot seat. Transport was in the hot seat as the estimates debate continued in Parliament. So because of that preparation and then the attendance, we were diverted away from being able to do the presentation. But I'm going to invite the CEO now, Mr. Wharton, to, just for a few minutes, tell you about the initiative that the Transport Board is working on, and which we hope they will be able to introduce to the country very shortly to help you with your challenges with buses.
Thank you. Good night, St. Peter. You kind of put me on the spot. We already arrived about 5 minutes ago, but I'm glad to have the opportunity to just tell you about some of the things that we are looking to do quite shortly. We currently have, and this is mainly given where we are at the moment. You are all well aware of the challenges that the board has in relations to the amount of the size of its fleet, the ability to deliver on time, and the issues surrounding that. Where we are heading now, in preparation for the additional fleet, we expect to be at 120 by end of December, give and take a couple months. That would put us in a position to deliver better to you, the people of St. Peter, as well as the people in the rural Barbados. But what else do we need to do? We are in 2025, everything is from your phone. We currently already have in our possession the ability for us only to know where exactly every single bus is on our network. We also can do that for TAP. So that's for both the transport board buses and the TAP buses. So when we looked at it, we said, well, hey, we can leverage this platform, the underlying GPS platform that we have through our automated fare collection system, and put an interface on top of that, which is then attractive and appealing as well as easy to use for the average user. In other words, anybody can take their mobile phone, tablet, laptop, whatever, and plan their travel. So if you are home, instead of peeping through the window and say, oh, the bus now going down, yeah, it can take about 10 minutes to get back here. The way you normally do, no, you take your phone, you see where the bus is, you see estimated time. We have already plotted in all of the bus stops currently in the country in our website, and we are also using that as well. So where we are today is in the testing phase, because we have it for us. So we want to make sure that it works well. So we use it for our own tracking, for dealing with issues in relations with not completing the road with a TAP bus or any other issues that come up from time to time. But in the next maybe 4 to 6 weeks or so, we will be in a position then to display that maybe at one of these forums, having a conversation with Roy. He's saying in March, he's putting me on the spot again. But hopefully in March, if we are fully completed, Roy, he's insisted it will be, but we would then display that to the public so that people get a feel to see where we are heading. The other thing is at the moment too, with the mapping of all the bus stops, etc., it now also allows the board to understand exactly where the movements are in people. So we would know exactly where persons board the buses. Just for informational purposes, the board is currently in the process of implementing a fully automated fare collection service. We call it loosely cashless. And that, at the moment, we are enrolling the students of the Lodge School and the Springer Memorial School. We have already began the rollout for the pensioners, the oldest pensioners, and then shortly after, maybe within the next 2 to 3 months or so, we will start doing paying passengers. So where we are right now with that process is that when we have all those persons onboarded, we will be able to see very clearly the people movement. So you're going to use a card using RFID and NFC, which is near field communication, and we will use that in order to do a lot more mapping and route planning. The intention is, in conversation with the Directory Transport Authority, is then when we have that cashless settled, we iron out all the problems, we got it working, we know the whole technology rollouts go, it's well settled, then we start to have that engagement with the private PSVs. We had also had that conversation when we first began the project, but of course the board has, through TAP, all of the variations of the vehicles on the island. We have the ZRs, we have the minibuses, we have the coaches, and then we have the transport board buses. So then we can see exactly from an infrastructure standpoint where on each bus you install, how the wiring is, and how that goes. So those are the kind of things that we are doing. So internally, we have also built up something like a mini NOC, which is a network operations center, which we use at Mangrove at the moment to see how our buses are moving and how to deploy. So these are the kind of things that we're going to be doing this year in terms of using the technology better to assist us in providing a better service to you. So while we may not be able to give you a bus at 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, and 3, now, within the next couple months or so, you'll be able to better do your planning and your routing as it relates to how we move people. So those are just a couple of the things that we are working on. There's some others, but not ready for those yet. And as time goes on, we will share with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much to you. So he says to you, you may not get the bus when you want it, but you will know when it is coming, so you don't have to go at the bus stop and stand up for 25 minutes or an hour, hour and a half. And I think that is a positive thing. There are some other announcements that are going to come within the next, certainly this week, and within the coming weeks that relate to the delivery of service. and the use of technology to make life easier for you. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder tonight, so I'm not going to tell you what it is. But keep watching, and you'll see what is going to happen over the next couple of weeks in relation to driver's licenses, in relation to renewal of your cars, your vehicles registration, and reporting of challenges that you have about services that are being delivered or not delivered by government entities. Just keep watching. You're going to realize life gets much easier and much better for you. Tahir, continue.
Okay, thank you, Roy, and thank you, Mr. Wharton. And as you and MP Jordan had the cross-talk, I just want to remind you all that everything is built on a firm foundation. The school on the hill. I'm not starting any battles tonight, but big up the foundationers. I might get put out as St. Peter. Moving on, I'm going to ask Mr. Austin Husbands to come to the podium. Just a reminder before you make your presentation, say your name once again and where you are from. So please give Mr. Husbands a big round of applause. And Mr. Morris is telling me he's the mayor of St. Peter. So based on Alex's idea, we have the mayor ready.
Thank you, sir. Let me just say good evening and thank you, first of all, to the guy from the Palmam Marriott, whatever that school is called, AKA CP. I want to say a big thank you to him because when I reached out to him and requested that we have a bus to transport us through the dark areas of Spikestown or St. Peter, he immediately responded, but he put me on the spot as well, and he made me share the message. I'm happy to see so many people here tonight. He was just talking about not stealing somebody's thunder. But he brought Mr. Wharton in just before I was about to talk about the transport system and how it affects us in Spikestown. But I have a different perspective on what is happening in Spikestown and what is happening with the bus service in Barbados. We have a number of routes that end up in Spikestown. We have removed 2 bus stops in Spikestown, but the private PSVs have been doing exactly what they wanted to do. 20-something years ago, I requested that they be brought into the system. It took a long time to get it done. They've eventually been brought into the system. However, there's still a separation of the private PSVs and the transport board. What my solution would be is to have them placed on a schedule similar to what the transport board now operates under. That will ensure that I get my bus at 11 o'clock every Thursday to go to Bathsheba to have my little chat with my elderly friends. If we brought all of them in, you call them TAP, you call them whatever, ZR, private minibuses, brought them into a system, it's going to call for a little bit of work, but I'm sure that we have the brain power in this country to get it to work. I've seen other places where private operators do the transport system, and you have very few problems. I'm not saying that it will be without problems, but I see putting them in the stream with the transport board as working. At the moment, we have the PSVs, and they stop outside the bus stand in Spikestown. That's the new bus stop. And you're still here in Spikestown, Malaquar, right? We passed that. That's like the days when you used to have people fish, and you're in the fish market. Where we think they come in there for breadfruit, right? So we need to stop that. And I see 1 or 2 of the PSV people. One is my friend, so I dare not call his name, asking for better conditions for their workers, but not wanting to be trained. I think that is a necessity. They need to be trained. They need to have somebody who understands PR, and I mean public relations, not pure rubbish, that can get them to understand how they have to interact with the public. My 5 minutes now, I'll be all right. The second thing is Speightstown. I was born in Speightstown, I was conceived in Speightstown, born in Speightstown, still live in Speightstown, and my ashes will be in Speightstown as well. So my naval spring is buried in the Alexandra schoolyard, per ardua ad astra. We are an elderly set of people in this country, not only in Speightstown. I was looking through the voters list the other day to see the number of people who are over 70, including me in that live in St. Peter. And the ones that live in Speightstown, it will amaze you how many there are. So one of my proposals is for the St. Peter Girls' School, the former St. Peter Girls' School, which is within the complex of the new Alma Paris Academy, to be turned into a senior citizens daytime center where they can be participating in art and craft, in whatever. Because I see too many of my people, and I have a close relative who is now suffering with dementia, who are sitting in the house doing absolutely nothing for a long time, and eventually that nothingness transfers to the brain. And daycare centers for the elderly are a must. And I want to start upon this rock. I build my church upon this rock. I want to start with St. Peter Girls' School, the old girls' school, and don't lick it down. Because I see a lot of that happening in Speightstown, and it burns my heart. We have lost 5 buildings in Church Street. This is a painting that was done by my father in the 1920s as a schoolboy. I have the original, but I've got some prints. And I did that because 3 of the people who were born in this house, this is the old Saheli building, which has now been demolished. 3 of the people who were born there saw I put up a thing on Facebook, and they saw it. And they asked if they could get prints. As a result, I won't tell you how many, but I've sold a lot of prints to a lot of people from Speightstown. Only those in my age group will remember this building. This is the old Saheli building. Then Rafi Kuri had the Kuri building. Why are we letting Speightstown go that way? A lot of the buildings are privately owned. There is a Special Development Act, of which I'm aware. However, I think a lot of the people who own these buildings would love some kind of assistance. And I'm not going to talk about the Noah Roach building, the old Noah Roach building. That is a heartbreaker. And if that is allowed to go, then I think that's the end of Speightstown. I'm just pleading. I don't want Speightstown to go. That's where my heritage is, and I think that this Special Development Act should find some way of furnishing those who are interested in redeveloping or developing or restoring, rather, their buildings. Some grant, if not a grant, a loan at concessionary rates, so that we do not lose our Speightstown. Let me remind you as well, this is not only St. Peter, but we have been asked to provide ideas for the wider country. I did not go to school in St. Peter. That's the only red mark on my sheet. Except for Sunday school. Maybe that would give me a green one. I went to school first and foremost at St. James Mix, where a certain gentleman who sits here also went to school. Just a few years behind me. And it's not 10 years behind me either. I'm 75. I don't color my beard nor my hair. What is left of it? St. James, particularly Whole Town. My mother's father was the headmaster of the St. James Boys School, which was located at the corner of First Street in Old Town. I went to school at St. James Mixed School, where my father was a teacher for several years. I still liaise with people who went to school with me in 1954. There's still some of us around. And the one thing that I do not want to see is the rape of Old Town. I do not want to see Old Town go through what is proposed. And while I'm on that, please, can we get some information on what is going to be happening to Haywoods? Haywoods is a heritage site as well. I noticed that to the south, where Barsali used to live, that's a bus driver, where the youngster now has his boat and as a restaurant, that is a mangrove. For my sake, the people say, for God's sake, don't let us come now and destroy that mangrove unless we are going to do something like what has been done at the marina. I don't mind if that part of the mangrove is converted into a hollow facility, especially in time when the boats are, when there's bad weather coming and the boats have to be hauled out. Because Port St. Charles and Port Ferdinand cannot hold them all. If that area were dredged wide enough, and also we created an outdoor theater, an outdoor park, whatever, there at what is now called Mahika, but we know it as Ford's. Please, don't let anybody come and put any 8-story, 10-story, sorry, that ain't Speightstown. Speightstown is still alive. Some people think it's not alive, but I'm alive. Don't send me to my grave. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I think y'all could do better for Mr. Husbands, man. You can hear his passion and his plea for Speightstown. I'm going to go off script a little bit here now. I'm going to give an opportunity to one of the students from Courage and Parry. If they have any interventions, we want to hear from you. So amongst you, all 4 of y'all can come up as well. We want to hear from you guys. What do y'all want for St. Peter? What do you want for education in Barbados? This is the debating society. Or all of y'all come, man. All of y'all come. All of y'all come. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Give them a round of applause. Do you have any additional mics? Okay. So I want y'all to just state your name first and foremost, which form you're in, and then if you live in St. Peter, where you live. All right, so we don't want to debate on who's going first.
Good evening. My name is Kiana Clark. I'm in 5 Springer, and I live in Basketball, St. Peter.
Lovely, lovely. Give Kiana a round of applause.
Good night. My name is Janaya Blackman. I am in 5 Miller, and I live in St. Lucie.
Good evening. My name is Zaire Smith, and I am of Farm 5 Yearwood. I live in a parish of St. James.
You're a fast bowler? You're a track star? You just tall.
Good night. My name is Aisha Jordan. I am from 5 Yearwood. I am from St. Peter, the rest.
Lovely. So, Aja, I can start with you since you went last. If it's one thing you would want to see implemented in the education system in Barbados, what would it be? If it's one thing. Anybody can answer that question. Come forward, Zaire. Lead the charge, man. You ready? Give Zaire a big round of applause, man.
Thank you. What was your question again?
If it's one thing you could see implemented in the education system right now, what would it be?
One thing. The extension of music, because myself, I'm a musician, and I feel that music is really not as prominent as it was in the past, and I feel the youth and younger people could really excel in music, because it's nothing really hard. It's just, it takes a lot of dedication and time and effort.
Thank you. Well done. Give him a massive round of applause. Next person. All right, one thing to be implemented in St. Peter for the persons that live in St. Peter. Any particular reason you have on the jacket? You're the head girl? Come, head girl, man. Come on, man. You speak in front of the whole school, man. Come on. Bring down the mic for her, Zaire. Zaire, bring down the mic for her, man. Give the head girl a round of applause, man. You can ask, you can say anything you want to say. No, the floor is yours.
I think like the water is like the main thing for like the people like in the rural areas, because sometimes it's usually off. So
you speaking about?
It's usually like off. So like the water when it is on is usually like dirty. So I feel that we could implement like a system to have when the water turns back on to be cleaner and like fresh.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. So everybody give them a round of applause. Well done. Thank you so very much for coming to the stage. Everybody was
Well, Prime Minister says you should. Go right ahead. Give the young people from Courgenpari and the people from St. Peter an opportunity to hear what you're doing in relation to improving. Or you defer to your senior.
Hi, good night, everyone. This is my first time being in this factory since it was remodeled, but I too am from St. Peter. I was born at St. Joseph Hospital, and I grew up in Arthur's Lane in St. Peter, so I know St. Peter well. In relation to the situation with the water, especially in St. Lucie and St. Peter, there are a number of things that contribute to the discolored water that we're getting in the north. In the north, we have one primary source of water. This is from the Allendale well, and then we have a smaller containerized desalination plant at the Hope that provide the water into St. Lucie and St. Peter. The source, Allendale, we're having some challenges at Allendale with the discolored water there. And what we're doing there is installing a filtration system. We're in the process of going through some testing now. Up to today, we're doing some testing on it. But this filtration system, what it looks like is a larger version of what you will see at a household. The type of filters that you would have at a household is similar to that, but it's a larger version. There are two filters that we've installed, and there are about 5 to 6 feet tall. They're like 2 feet to 3 feet in diameter, and they are supposed to capture any sediment that comes out of the well. In addition to that, the distribution network, a lot of the distribution network in the north of the island is in a really bad condition. We have done some replacements already in areas like Crab Hill and in Derms, but we still have quite a bit of mains to replace in areas like Centipede Alley, Checker Hall, Baycox, and those mains are really bad. They're encrusted, and normally when you get brown water, what we try to do initially is to flush it out, and if that doesn't work, then we do what we call swabbing. So we've done some swabbing in the larger mains, and we've gone all around the St. Lucie area, the what we call the transmission main, doing the swabbing. But in the districts themselves, there's some smaller mains like 3 and 4-inch mains that are or pipes. We call them mains, but they're pipes, which are so small that we cannot get the swabs through those. They have so much rust build up on those. And what we're doing is actually replacing those. We have replaced about 20 kilometers already in the parish, and we have approximately another 20 to replace. What we're doing this time is engaging the assistance of private contractors to help us to speed up the whole process. So we envisioned that within a period of 12 months to a year, 12 months to 18 months, sorry, we would be able to complete those other areas that I just mentioned. We're also working along with the Ministry of Public Works in terms of when their contractors are doing works on the roads, like in Derms and in the Cave Hill area, to get those contractors as well to assist us with the trenching and the reinstatement so that we can benefit from that synergy of working along with the public works. So we envisage that once we deal with the well itself and the discolored water coming from the mains, we should be able to correct the problems that are occurring in the parishes of St. Lucie and St. Peter with the discolored water. As I indicated, the mains, we're looking at 12 to 18 months to get all of those mains replaced that we mentioned. And in terms of the filtration system, we are currently going through a testing process now. Over the last week or so, we've been running some tests. Every day we do some tests on the filters to put them into operation and to determine like what pressures we should be running the water through them, and then looking at the quality of the water coming out of those filters. And our water quality people, as well as the lab, they're assisting us with the testing from those filters. So there are two things that we're working on to be able to correct the water issues in St. Lucie and St. Peter. Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming to answer the question from the students. And I know it's a question that's top of mind for many people in St. Lucie and St. Peter. So we're going to move along, and I'm going to ask Ms. Caroline King to come to the microphone. Caroline, I see you have 10 ideas here, so I want you to pick perhaps your top 2 or 3 and go forth. But there are some very interesting ideas, I must say. So just state where you're from in St. Peter. Please give Caroline a round of applause.
Good night, everyone. My name, as you know, is Caroline King. I am originally from the WIM St. Peter. I am also from Indian Ground as well. So I felt that statement about the water very, the people from Indian Ground would know that situation with the water very well. That's not the points I wanted to speak on, but I was just glad that someone said something about that. Right. So, to pick the top 5, that...
Top 5?
Yeah.
1 minute each. If you could do 1 minute each, that's amazing.
Okay. Right. So, right. Barbados have a lot of things that need solutions. All right. So, crime, right? To reduce the crime rates pending to increase or currently happening in our island, let's start a YouTube channel called Criminal Minds Unlocked. And on this channel, crime prevention officers can educate the public monthly via interview questions about how to handle different criminal offenses between court hearings and between corrupt police officers or lawyers in any way that will not cause them to show up missing on the news, or as a prisoner on remand or bail, right? Some people genuinely don't know how to handle those kinds of situations, and they're acting out of ignorance when they show up as the latest news stories in our island. This initiative will protect and empower those who are vulnerable due to ignorance on the said topic, criminal minds. Yeah. Right. This one, personally, because I have tried to implement some solutions in the country myself, because I believe in being the change I would like to see in the world. This is for the people who have nonprofits and stuff like that. And not just people who have nonprofits, but who experience the waiting lines in the government for different services, right? I'm not trying to get on the offense of any of the government workers who do their job seriously. To avoid long waiting lines online and in person at government offices, create automated penalty fees, wavering of rights and natural consequences that would require higher productivity in the government offices to perform tasks in a less nonchalant manner. As I said, no offense to the government workers who do their job on a serious level. I'm in no position to judge anyone. You told me top 3?
I want to hear your number 5. Let's create an option for children and their caregivers.
Right.
Let me hear that one.
Okay. Let's create an option for children and their caregivers to hire top-class private tutors at government schools on evenings, weekends, and summer vacation via privately owned or government-owned laptops and tablets, whilst also using in-person sessions to give those students a fighting chance to get their basics mastered at primary and secondary school level, who desperately need the extra help with academic subjects and life skills to apply for continuous teachers' observation to their educational weaknesses in academic and basic life skills using age-appropriate milestones. Let's get the private tutoring referral forms sent home in the children's bags. Yeah? And yes, please.
Yeah. Look away from the phone.
Okay.
Talk to us. I'm not sure we understand what is just said. I know you're talking about private tutoring and such. Like, talk it out.
Okay, sorry for sticking to the script. I didn't know I would have to narrow it down like that, right? So I really believe that the youth are the future, whether they come from functional homes or dysfunctional homes. And I think that there's a more equal chance for everybody to excel and, give an input to the country if education in the areas that we realize everybody is weak in is prioritized. So like if there's an issue where we realize most of the criminals committing certain acts or most of the conflicts in the school related to certain things, I always like to suggest like a educational platform that isn't already there to resolve those things, right? I narrowed them down.
Caroline, not to cross you, what are some of those shortfalls you're seeing from your experience? From the education.
Okay, from the education, right? The youth are not built. There's Gen X and Gen Z and stuff. There's a bridge between the people who are teaching the youth and the people and the youth that are being taught. And a lot of people not adapting to where the youth are at right now where education is concerned. The youth are more quick, and the older generation, which is also wise, is more patient. And I think the gap is more of a customization where like online schools or whatever would have like a consideration of each student individual needs in terms of where they're at mentally and not just their birth certificate age, right? I think that is a lacking there drastically in regard to how the youth are being placed in classes and how they're being educated outside of the technology that they're always using. I see some schools started to implement financial literacy and digital literacy, and that's very commendable. It hasn't reached my son's school as yet, but I'm looking forward to it. But I do think that if more initiatives where the weaknesses of the country should be turned into like a course. I think they did that with the National Training Initiative already, but there's still some topics they're lacking that we can further educate people about. For one, I don't know everything, but I do take a lot of time to study the weaknesses of the country and personally as an individual see what I can do as a citizen because I love my country. I'm proud to be a Barbadian, and I like to be a part of anything that helps us to progress as a country for the betterment of the youth who are the future of our legacy for the generation. So I guess the rest could be summarized when the others look over my other things, and I'll leave it right there. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you so very much. Before you go, Caroline, what do you do?
Pardon?
What do you do? What's your background in?
Right.
Or what work do you do?
I am a virtual assistant, and I do administrative and advertising services, and I have a background in modeling, represent Barbados in Caribbean Next Top Model, and several competitions. People know me from being involved in a lot of public activities to progress Barbados. Yeah?
Lovely.
Activism.
Can I make one recommendation? When I read the idea about the YouTube channel and Criminal Minds, right? My mind went to Criminal Minds, the series, Criminal Minds Unlocked, and Rivellino on his idea of using movie production. Perhaps you can partner with him, share the idea, share the concept, and see how you could flesh out something with him. He has the experience, as he said, and perhaps y'all can build something together. I think the idea needs a little more fleshing out naturally, but he, with his experience and other persons that may be in the space, can assist you in that and making it a possible reality.
I am very passionate about that because when I found out how people become criminals, they're not really the villains, but more so the dysfunctional homes that we need to, educate and inform better. So I'm glad to be a part of any initiative like that because these criminals are coming from households that have families, and I think we need to start at home because everybody is not going to be privileged to come from a home that is functional and privileged, right?
Yeah,
to keep them above crime.
Thank you so much. Very well done. Rivellino, I don't know if you're still here, but just identify yourself to Caroline. Perhaps y'all can come up with something that's very creative to deal with crime and stuff like that. Perhaps something else may come out of it as well. So we're going to move along, Mr. Carl Boyce. Carl Boyce, you have the floor, sir. And just a reminder, food and drinks are on sale. Support the entrepreneurs that are here, open tonight. I think the food options are wide. There are some drink options as well. So it's key that we support the entrepreneurs and businesses that have opened for us tonight. So Carl, just state where you're from, and you can go right ahead.
Good night, all of St. Peter, Madam Prime Minister, ministers, colleagues, and friends. My name is Carl Boyce. I live in the rural part of St. Peter, Moorhead St. Peter. The best part in Barbados because it has two shorelines, the Atlantic and the Caribbean Sea. So it met us sailors. What I want to speak about, Madam Prime Minister, tonight is that the gathering is taken off. And if we are saying, come along home, I believe that we should do something else with come along home. I feel that we can offer some incentives, packages for families who are coming home for reunion this year to give them some kind of impetus as the STEM persons so that either the hotels or guest houses and so forth can reduce the price so that I can bring more people. I believe it will encourage more people to come if we could have some initiatives like that for families coming home. I also believe that I must congratulate the St. Peter Committee for doing a wonderful job so far. I believe that other committees now, Madam Prime Minister, have had their plans already fairly finalized, that they can publish, that people that want to come home too would know that St. Michael, whether it's in November or October, the initiatives, the places that they're going, that people could plan. People want to come, but they want to plan because they want to identify with a number of initiatives. But we have to do more planning and publicity in this exercise. Also, shirts. A number of people are asking for shirts, especially St. Peter. The nice green shirts, not the white ones. They see them as brand names, as a part of the heritage. And I believe that, Madam Prime Minister, that you should encourage some young entrepreneurs to do these shirts VAT-free. Take off the VAT off of them so that you can get a lot of activity. This initiative is a great initiative, but it needs some more impetus to push it forward. I believe that I would purchase a mug that says Cherry Tree Hill or Nicosavi or Farley Hill, a mug, because I can keep that and show it to my great grand that this, the gathering for 2025, what it's like. A lot of things that we need to push, even for tourists, in terms of bandanas, pins. I have not seen any of these things as yet. So there is a lot of scope that we can do to increase economic enfranchisement with people. I realize that a lot of people can get involved in tents. A lot of people want tents for this initiatives, chairs, a lot of activity. So I would like to see both the private, but I believe that the more younger persons should be involved. And that's why I'm asking for it to be VAT-free. Because we know that they may not be able to go to the bank to get all of this money, but the government may have some institutions that may be able to lend them some money. And I believe that we can, once this is happening, we can be able to take off and make this regathering better and bigger. Thank you.
Thank you, Carl. Before you go, you spoke on incentives. What type of incentives? What incentives would you offer?
If you have 10 people coming, you could give a discount, a 5% discount off of the rooms or anything like that. And as I said, for the shirts, you can give, if you don't want to give the whole 50% back, you can get half back. But those initiatives could help push. I ain't saying so because I got family coming home, so I already know that I can get, I can get some incentive. It would help me.
You want the incentives or the incentive for them?
Them and me are the same, so that's not a problem. We are one.
Thank you, Carl. A reminder now that Carl has made a point about shirts. I believe, Alicia, we have enough shirts in the back, St. Peter shirts, that just about everybody in this room should be able to get one free before you leave here tonight.
So that mean I can't get one? Roy, I want your thoughts on this, based on what Carl was saying though. What's your thoughts on a national competition, whether it be in the schools, whether it be for cultural, for creatives, on building out some memorabilia for the year we gathering? Not putting you on the spot, no.
That's a fair question. But I'm from a different school. I'm a little older than you. And I think opportunities present themselves, and we have to be mindful of what those opportunities are and grab them. Yes, incentives would help, but if you don't have a thought up front, you're asking for an incentive to take you where you had no idea you could go. This is St. Peter. Next month is St. Thomas. I would take it that there are enough people in St. Thomas, since we are already almost out of St. Peter, who would have ideas for what they would want to do. Certainly, somebody by now must have thought of some mugs with Harrison Cave or whatever the other important, interesting points in St. Thomas. Clearly, Carl talked about bandanas and hats and things like that. To me, those are naturals. One would think that the attractions would be thinking about what are we going to do to invite people who would not normally be thinking about taking in an attraction. Prime Minister talks about it all the time. The first tourist is a Bajan. Luckily, St. Peter got has its month when there's some important dates. The last one being Valentine's and the opportunity to light up Farley Hill and such like. But the object is that there are individuals within each community who should have an entrepreneurial spirit and who should be thinking, where can I capitalize on what is happening in my parish? St. Thomas in March, then we go to St. Joseph in April, and continue into St. John, then St. George. The full list is there. Right now, I think those who have an interest in pushing the country, the images of the country, should at this moment be thinking about how they can capitalize on the opportunities that present themselves. You just have to look.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you. So we're going to move right along now to Mr. Dennis Augustine. You have the floor, sir. Just remember to state where you're from.
Good evening, St. Peter. My name is Dennis Augustine, and I'm from here. Well, I'm from here now. So you can tell by my accent that I wasn't from these parts originally. I'm a prodigal son of the region. I came here just about 3 years ago. The Prime Minister called for me. She didn't know she was calling for me at the time. But she called for the sons and daughters of the diaspora to come back to this region to contribute. And I heard that call in a place that they literally call the Great White North, Canada. And when I arrived here just about 2.5 years ago with my wife, we came to a candidate party. We got started. We established a couple businesses. 2 of them are hosted right here in Hayman's Market. Studio 6 up there. I'll plug my wife's photo studio up here. And the DX Alliance, which I founded. It does digital services. We have a thing called Codex, which we're establishing at the University of the West Indies. But I'm not talking about that today. I have another problem that I hope you'll help me solve. I don't know any of you, very few of you. and you don't know me. And so many of the people that I met all those years ago that I associated with over time, many of them residents of St. Peter. They're not here tonight either, and you don't know them. And We Gathering ends on the 28th. But St. Peter can continue gathering. And I'm going to invite you to something that we're doing right here at Hammons. You can clap, it's all right. Right. I'm going to invite you to something that, the idea is actually something that's, I hope you can help me solve my problem. By continuing to come here to Hammons Market on Sundays, after church, pick up your family, come here. My piano is in that room over there. I have a group of about 8 wonderful Bajan musicians who play the guitar. You might know people like Barry Reed and so forth. We want to come here and we want to share songs. We want to share stories. At the DX Alliance, I call my title Collector of People. Before I did technology 27 years ago, I would have called my profession Fisher of Men. What was it? Thank you. And I learned something very important in that place, that when you give people purpose and belonging, they'll stick. They don't just come for places, because what I would have said back in the day is the church was not the building, and the community is not the property or the building, but the community is built of people. And so my idea is something called Third Space. We'll get together on Sunday afternoons here, right here in Hammons Market. We'll share some songs, because when you hear a song from somebody, you feel them before you have to engage in ideological discussions with them. That breaks down barriers. We'll share some stories, because your story and my story is something that you listen to without judgment. And that's how we get to know each other. I want to thank the Weatherheads, Bernie and Jacob, for graciously offering to have this space for that. We don't have a lot of money. We have some guitars, we got a piano, we got each other. That's what we're offering. There's obviously places you can have things to eat here as well. So I think let's just, we say We Gathering, let's keep gathering the rest of the year as well. That's going to be Third Space here at Hammons on Sunday afternoons. If you go to thirdspace.community, that's the number 3RD space, SPACE.community. There's a form there you can fill out. If you sing a little bit and you want to come during the week and practice with us so that when you come up here and sing your songs, you sound nice, do that, sign up, and let's get together. That's my idea. Fill out the form. Peter asked what time on Sundays, so fill out the form and then you let us know what time you think we should gather on Sundays. You all are close enough here. What time does church end for you on Sundays? So what's a good time to meet? We're meeting at 1 on Sunday. Right. On the 4th.
Thank you. Please give Dennis a round of applause. And Dennis, I must commend you for coming home and investing as well. That's really, really important. I think the We Gathering team should share that story, that he just didn't come home to then complain, but he came home and invested and started a business now trying to impact other people's lives. So please give him another big round of applause. That's brilliant. So we have, I think, one final presentation, Mr. Neville Cato. And just a reminder, if you came in a tad bit late, you can go to the back and give your presentation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Good night, ladies and gentlemen, and the Honorable Prime Minister. Tonight I want to make a contribution. After 100 years, over 100 years, the Church of God in Spice Town. In 2020, just before I have on one of those shirts, we bought a building next to us. Right Honorable Prime Minister, that building is where you grew up. What we were going to do with it was a discussion of the church. Under the guidance of a dear member of my church, he's right here, Brother Charles, who you see was here a while ago, very talented guy. He told us we can buy the building, but the building would have required some work. The committee got together. Charles was not on this one, but he came in afterward. We said we want to make this a contribution to Spice Town. So what we decide to do is to make it a senior citizen home, free of cost. That would be the Church of God contribution to Spice Town. With the Care of the Elderly program launched by this government, we think it was a good idea to get this building fixed, and we can help our community. How we were going to do it? For the younger folks who are working and you have your senior home, drop them off at us. We will take care of them for the day. On your return from work, you can collect them and take them home. That is our plan, and it is still in place in Spice Town. We ran into some difficulty along the way because, to be honest, we had more than enough money to do the building. But because of some difficulty we found out, under the good assistance by our dear brother and his sister, we had to use, I think he will know the numbers better than me, about 20% of the money that we have that we did not cater for. Tonight, I am asking for the contribution of the government, the care of the elderly, because we have a ministry, to come and assist us in finish this building. We are about 85 Charles, about 80 or 20% of it finished. That we can make a contribution to St. Peter.
How much is completed, sir? 80 or 20%?
About 80%, Charles. Yeah, he's nodding. About 80% finished. So we still about 20% out because of the difficulty we found with the roof. And you know how tongue and country plan operate. So we have to make some adjustment and serious adjustment to accommodate what we are about to do. I am asking tonight my dear minister, I took him there, he know what I'm talking about because he visit the building, he see what we have been doing, he know the work, and we were asking to make that contribution in 2020. But then we all know what happened. COVID came in. And so, but we continue to do what is best. And that is the contribution we want to give back to the people of Queen Street, Archers Lane, Bovers Lane, because they have been faithful. They have been faithful to the people, to the members of the church, And tonight is my plea. The Honorable Prime Minister, this will be a building that you will be proud of. Very good work. So my contribution tonight, that the Church of God of Spicetown, which is over 100 years old, is asking for just a contribution to finish this building. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And I want to thank everyone who came up and presented tonight and shared their submissions online. So it has been an insightful night, most definitely. Now I'm going to ask the Honorable Prime Minister to give her remarks.
Thank you very much, Tahir. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, residents of St. Peter and all of the visiting guests here. As I said in St. Lucie, this is an important exercise for us. We wanted to flip the script in this year. And as you know, the last 2 years we did Parish Speaks, but we wanted this year to listen to you rather than you only interacting with us on a number of issues. You would have noticed that I've taken very careful notes here, as I did in St. Lucie. I expect that every 2 months, the Office of Citizen Engagement will send the recommendations to Cabinet, for Cabinet to review, consider, determine what is acceptable, what we can do, what we can't do, because not everything obviously is capable of being done. But on the top, from the top, we've had a number of interesting ideas here tonight. The fate of clubs, sporting clubs, not just cricket clubs, is a matter of grave concern to us because, as I keep saying, when we were growing up, there were a lot more cricket clubs, sporting clubs, community clubs, cultural clubs, and these are the things, I think Dennis was the person who talked about giving people purpose and belonging. And once you have that, invariably people then can find a way. In Bushall and Santi, I took Ify from your constituency early on, brought him into my constituency. He taught youngsters still walking. There are a number of them now who live outside of Barbados, who are outside in their jobs, largely because of what they learned at 10, 11, and 12 years old with him with respect to the stilt walking. So that we are on board. I think 2 years ago after COVID, we realized that there were a number of clubs who had suffered because of lack of dues during the period of COVID, and therefore the National Sports Council was able to support a number of clubs across the country. But clubs don't only need money, clubs need people. And at the end of the day, it is what we give back with respect to our time that will allow clubs to rise or to fall. In my own constituency, the Harold Nurse Community Center is named after him because he was the treasurer of the Friendship Youth Group for over 30 years. And that is the kind of dedication and commitment that we want to see from people again. With respect to the next matter of the question of governance in towns, I think I can say safely that we will be appointing some town managers. We have one for Bridgetown already. We're going to have to do it for Oistins, Old Town, and Spikestown to start, and 6 Roads. And then we'll be looking at Belle Plaine as well, and the Glebe eventually. The reality is that in the absence of a local government structure, these are the things that you may need to put in place to ensure that there is a coherent response to the development of the services in a town. This is without prejudice to the parish assemblies, which we are looking at in terms of implementing, and I really do hope that in the course of the next year, those alongside with what has been recommended in the Constitutional Review Commission and the Parliamentary Reform Commission, that we take all of those commissions and we should be seeing the rollout of their recommendations during the course of the next fiscal year. Stephen spoke about the coastal damage, and Stephen, I would suggest that once again your ideas are to engage with the Coastal Zone Management Unit and our coastal engineers. Suffice it to say that what we do know is that we can't just replenish the beaches without having coastal defense systems offshore, because if not, the sand will just go each time again. And therefore, we are in the process of looking at a comprehensive plan from St. Lucie to the port. The reality is that that plan is going to cost significant sums of money. But what is also the reality? And we have to have this conversation as a country, because in a very real way, if we don't make it happen, then we are going to invite a reduced and a miniaturized economy. If we doubted the importance of tourism to this country, we only need to think back to 2020. Ian, Kerry, what happened in 2020? It wasn't only the lack of tourists coming, Bernie, I see you here, that caused the problem, but because of the volume of tourists on top of a population that is as small as ours, it meant that you had a significant decline in agricultural output, because there was no market for the farmers to be able to sell to. Think about it. If you have, what's the numbers now, Ian? 650, 700,000, roughly. And long stay tourists, close to 700,000 or whatever the numbers are. That's more than double the number of people that live in this country every day. So you take that out, or you see a stifling of those numbers or a decline of those numbers, then a lot of these people who depend on the increased purchasing power that is brought as a result of the tourists coming to Barbados will go where? And we already know what happened to us during those few years. And that's the kind of discussion that we need to have. Peter, I saw your piece in the paper. Austin, I hear you. And the government will create opportunities for all of you to speak. But at the end of the day, the biggest problem we have is that we have very few greenfield sites left in this country. And we have an aging hotel plant that cannot maintain or sustain the quality of life that we have. And I don't need to say it for the sake of saying it, because we've gone through it and we've experienced it. And everything that we have done, including the hotels in town, including the ones down here, we've asked for planning gains, for contributions to the Urban Transformation Fund, whether it is in town or whether it is down this side of the world. We've also asked for the opportunity for clear, not just a corridor to the beach, but in the case of town, the old Bay Street Fish Market site, we've asked for something to be done there that will allow Bajans also to benefit in their own numbers. The same thing will happen on the West Coast. As to what and where we do exactly, we will continue to have the conversations, but believe you me, if this country does not invite the investment to be able to build out what we have, we will not be able to sustain our quality of life. I, as Minister of Culture, am sensitive to heritage. That is why the first time the government has undertaken any major heritage projects is because I've pushed it as Prime Minister. But the reality is that the buildings at that site in Old Town are not historic. It is the site that is historic. And the government will do nothing to take away from the historic nature of the site. But equally, I know when I was a young lawyer, the old buildings, because I used to practice law there, and those buildings became a thing of the past, and these buildings became a thing of the past. The conversation that the country has to have is, when we move the Civic Center, do we keep all of the jobs that we have at the Civic Center? Yes, we do. And do we create new jobs on that site? And the question, therefore, is how best do we treat to that site, and how best do we create new jobs? Because most of the people who are speaking we have the benefit of jobs. But the reality is when I go through St. Lucie and when I go through St. Peter, there are still people looking for jobs in the tourism sector. And that is why the development at beaches is a game changer. It's a game changer. And that is why the other developments at Royalton and at Pendry, whether we like it or not, we have to be able to create jobs to give people purpose and to give people belonging. By the same token, we have to be sensitive to the heritage that we have, and we have to be sensitive to the things that we must do to keep a level playing field. So I'm more than willing to listen to some of you and to meet with you and to meet with the developers, but at the end of the day, the country has to have progress. How do we achieve progress? While maintaining aspects of our heritage. The buildings in town at the Pier Head, a number of them have gone, but equally, what is being built back is going to have the heritage component in it. We went through this for a number of years across 2 previous governments at the Nightingale Home. Samuel Jackman Prescott's house was a public nuisance and threat to the kids on the site. And for years we said we couldn't knock it down because it is a heritage site. Well, it was a heritage site, but it was a dilapidated heritage site that put children at risk. We were able to agree that the persons who were building back should build back exactly in the same type of heritage tone. And you can go now to the site and see the wonderful work that has been done and the extent to which that is being used to accommodate children with respect to the Nightingale Home. The water issues, my dear, we feel you. We dealt with it in St. Lucie, and Mr. Leslie has indicated that this is something that has not, well, he didn't tell you it was bedeviling us for a while, but I suspect you know that already. And it's the people of St. Lucie, it's the people of Boscobel and certain parts of St. Peter. We have, as he said, replaced 20 kilometers of the mains already, and the government has made the funds available to do the next 20 kilometers. And whether it is 12 to 18 months or sooner, we're going about it with dispatch, because I do not believe that it is fair, and therefore we will do everything that is possible to try to remove the water. The filtration systems at Allendale will help, but as he said, even after that, you're dealing with pipes that have been down how long? 70, 80, 90 years in many instances. And I keep making the point that when the British put down those mains and that distribution system, the British had an empire. We have a country. And therein lies the difference. And we have ramped up significantly. More funds have gone into the Barbados Water Authority in the last 5 years since COVID, where we've actually brought it back on budget in the government's budget. When we came to office, Water Authority never received any money from central government at all. So that just gives you the idea of the seriousness with which we are trying to engage, because while it is you in St. Lucie and St. Peter, we've managed to deal with a lot of the problems in St. Joseph, although recently we had problems at Sweet Vale. That's where the Sweet Bottom or Sweet Vale, sorry, where the 2 boreholes were. And then we have had problems also in Christchurch with the Rising Sun, and that more or less has been resolved now, I hope. So we are going literally, but this is as a result of years, possibly decades, of not putting the investment in there. And this government has put a minimum of $15 million a year, but most years $30 million under the previous ministers, and it has continued. And in addition, we did so while recognizing that we couldn't cut off people's water for 3 years when people were not paying during COVID. So in addition to having to deal with funds for capital expenditure, we have not been able, quite frankly, to get back the level of payments where they need to be since COVID. We then had, youngster, music, your school Joy Knight Lynch, correct? Cable and Wireless, Corey Jampari. My last day as Minister of Culture in 2001, I agreed for the establishment of a strings project, which Joy Knight Lynch started. And that's what really expanded the Barbados Youth Orchestra in the strings. We've also agreed that we will expand at the primary school level. And Chantal, I've asked that we have a report on that. But the bottom line is I hear you loud and clear, because musicians, sportsmen, artists are global citizens. If you're good enough, people hardly ask you for a visa, they make the visa available to you. So you're right on board with that. The dental clinic in the Morris Bayer Polyclinic. Barbados has been facing a shortage of skills, predominantly in dental auxiliaries, and that's largely also because the training program, which used to be available in Jamaica, has stopped. We are now in discussion trying to see if we can get the training to start at the Barbados Community College, but inevitably it means that we either have to import the skills or we will not benefit from it. And that's one of the things that we have been discussing with countries both in Africa and India to be able to help us bridge the skills deficit in a range of areas, not just in the area of dentistry, but the dental auxiliaries, but also in the area of construction, project managers, engineers, hydraulic engineers, civil engineers, quantity surveyors. Santia will tell you that that's what they're facing as a problem in the ministry every day. And we need to think about it. If the majority, if we are on target to having 1 in every 2 people over 65 in 25 years, what does that tell you about the aging profile of the country? And then when we look at the numbers coming through the school system, when I was Minister of Education up until 2001, we had 4,200 people sitting the 11 plus every year. It is now down to how much, about 3,100? And when we start looking at the numbers in infants A, B, between the public system and the private system, it's even less than that 3,100. So the country is in serious population decline, and that is why we have to be able to bring in people to help us, because at the end of the day, you're not going to have people going to work to be able to build out the economy. And secondly, when those people become older, who's going to be there to build out for them to get their pensions? So this is the serious discussions that we're having, and the immigration bill came to cabinet. There were things that we wanted changed with it. This is about 3 weeks ago. We sent it back down, and I expect it to come back to cabinet no later than about May of this year, and for us to get it to Parliament. Rivelino, I've asked Wilfred to speak with you. The reality is that as we deal with the future of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, part of it must be to create a platform for persons who want to deliver content in this country. I've asked the National Cultural Foundation and the IDC a couple months ago to create a green room that would be available to all kinds of artists so that they can go in, they have the green screen, they have a couple computers, they have a couple cameras, so that people who are talented but who may not have the equipment at home are in a position still to be able to do things in this country. And that is what you call it in innovation clusters. We can start with one, and if it works well, we can do more than one. Fabian, thank you for the update with respect to the app. When we met with you at Estimates, you showed it to me, and what we want to see when it comes out is one that's user-friendly. Part of the difficulty that Barbados has that other countries don't have is that we have no space to create a dedicated bus lane in most of the highways. Look and see where the houses are built. Tell me where you're going to put a dedicated bus lane in Columbia. Tell me where you're going to put a dedicated bus lane on the Coast Road. You understand? So that the next best thing for us is to allow people to have access to data, to be able to plan out their time, and to have enough buses to make sure that the service is regular. Santia would have gone to China last year and would have settled the gift from the Chinese of the first 30 buses. We had hoped for more, but we got the 30. And our estimates this year, I've agreed that we will buy another 30 buses, which will therefore add 60 to the 659 that you have, if I'm to be precise. Sorry? You're taking 31 to get to 120, no problem. I ain't gonna quarrel with you. But basically they have 59 now. They're getting 30 from the Chinese and they want 31 to make it 120. But much of what, was it Austin who spoke about it with respect to the scheduling? The reality is that that is what the Mass Transit Authority will allow us to do, and to ensure that, and let's be clear, when we came to office, we left office in 2008 with about 350 privately owned public service vehicles. We came back to office with over 800. 800 privately owned public service vehicles. In that decade, effectively, transport in Barbados was privatized without the systems being put in place. And that's one of the reasons the Transport Board at its height used to have how many buses? 270. We don't need to go back to 270 buses ever, because we have enough private buses. But what we need to do is to make sure that everybody operates according to route, according to schedule, according to regulation, according to standards, and according to information being made publicly available to the people. So we'll work on that, and I look forward, like you. I'm not going to do like Roy and Telemarch, but I look forward to a user-friendly app within 6 to 8 weeks. With the emphasis on user-friendly. You understand? So don't give us a map that people can't understand. Just going through everybody to make sure that we can track everybody's comments. The daycare center. I think that Austin, once again, Mr. Cato, thank you for raising it. And beyond the daycare center, and we certainly will have a discussion with you, because the Seroptimus Village is a perfect partnership of public-private partnership, public NGO partnership. And I believe that the Minister Kirk is here, and he would have started to share that the government's plan is ultimately to have both daycare centers across the island, but also residential villages for senior citizens across the island, in addition to what you see going up on the ABC Highway, which is the major new geriatric hospital, which we expect to finish later this year, probably by August or September for sure. I started to see them start to paint on the outside, and that will be for intense care. And let me tell you why. The cost of care for those who leave their parents, aunts, grandparents at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital is not only prohibitive, but the QEH has a certain number of beds. So that if persons are in the QEH that could otherwise be taken care of elsewhere, it stops the flow of people moving up from A&E into the ward where we may need the beds. The geriatric hospital is the next highest cost of keeping a patient. And I'll give you the numbers again. I'm tired, so I can't remember all, and I might be off by 1,000 or 2, so I don't want to give you tonight. But the third highest is then what we did 2 years ago. We increased the subsidy for the private nursing homes who take persons, and most people don't know this, that we also help provide that subsidy for a large number of private nursing homes for the elderly. We've gone one step further, and then we introduced the Community Care Elderly Program at the National Assistance Board, so that people in their communities can go and take care of some of the elderly persons, which will allow them to get a stipend, and them also to deliver a service to 2 or 3 or 4 people in the community. We recognize that, as was said, there are people who are working, and therefore there may be nobody at home to take care of them. I am sensitive to this because I've said it before. I grew up with an aunt who is deaf-mute. And at no stage ever, ever, have we ever left her in a home alone. So it meant as children, somebody had to take a turn to stay, and if we couldn't, we had to find somebody who could stay with her. So I understand that parents who are working may need somebody during the period of time when they're at work to be able to take care of their mother, their father, their aunt, the dependent. And worse still, if they have dementia or Alzheimer's, because with Alzheimer's, what will happen? In many instances, they walk away from home. So the government has taken a position that we will do this in a decentralized manner over the next 3 to 4 years. It means that if we can do 30 houses in each parish, those parishes that are more populous will eventually get 2 or 3 of them, obviously, because your population in some parishes is significantly higher than in others. But in addition to that, where we can work with the NGOs to be able to provide the support for the daycare center, just as the Church of God is doing, then we will do so willingly. In some instances, we will give materials and you provide the labor. Okay? So we will continue to formally look at that there and elsewhere. We have other programs with other churches and NGOs, and therefore we are open to help carry in this way, others to come on board to help us carry this way. I don't want to leave out anything. Charles, thank you for explaining where we are with the Water Authority thing, but as I said, and let us be clear, I would like to bring this pipeline under the 12 to 18 months. But you know what that is going to mean? That we're going to have construction beyond 40 hours a week. There is nothing that comes without some inconvenience. Growth is growing pains. Recovery from an operation or from an accident is pain before feeling better. And we need to be able to talk through with each other, because as soon as we start to do something, everybody's, oh, I can't take the noise, I can't take the dust, I can't take this. You cannot get to a safe place without some discomfort and without some pain. And being straight, in the case of laying mains, I would like to see the Water Authority lay mains not in residential areas, but on public roads, public highways, or highways where there are no villages, between 6 in the morning and 10 at night. Now we have to talk to the unions, but at least that gives us a 16-hour day. And if we can do that 7 days a week, it will allow us to be able to make sure, my dear, that you and the others in Boscobel and the others in St. Lucie can get relief sooner rather than later. Ms. King, I don't know what your 7 other ideas were, but your first 3 were very good, and I invite you to send the other 7 ideas to us so that we can go through them. The notion of more local television productions to be able to help in the crime prevention effort, you have us 150%. And it is a question of structuring out the programs in ways. I know there was another program recently that CBC may now be showing called Turnaround, Turnaround 2.0 and Turnaround 3.0, and some other programs, because these are our stories and these are our people. And if we don't tell the stories and share them with each other, then who else is going to do it for us? With respect to the automation, Bra at Christmas had the horror yet again when we thought we had solved it. When 3-4 years ago, all of a sudden Bra got people lining up outside in the hot sun and in large numbers. And we literally took Mr. Morris as Director of Citizen Engagement and told him, go down there and let us start to resolve these issues. It cannot be beyond us to have an electronic board with numbers, so that a person would know that if I'm number 67 and you are at number 3, and you're taking X amount of time to deal with people, that I can go down to the shop and buy what I got to buy and come back. First thing. Secondly, that where we can do things electronically and automated, help the public, and that's what we've been doing. Remember when we came to office, how long y'all had to wait for a certificate of character? How long? Now you can get a certificate of character almost the same day, easy so. And we are going through all of the systems one by one, by one, by one, by one, by one. I'm frustrated and would like it to go quicker sometimes, but I'm also conscious that we lost 3 clear years during COVID, and it is almost as if we've had to wind back up the car. This is the automatic transmission. This is an old wind back up, wind back up, wind back up to get everybody back to normal. I see Mr. Trump still telling the people in the US to come back to work after COVID. So clearly it is not a feature of small countries alone. And then you asked about extra lessons. This is a difficult one because, quite frankly, we have more than enough teachers. You heard me talk about the population decline. And Barbados' teacher-student ratio is perhaps one of the best in the world now, because in spite of the population decline, no government has ever sent home any teachers. That's why we believe we can pivot to be able to have universal pre-primary education, because we have enough teachers in the system, we have enough school places. When we were in St. Lucie, we were given examples of the clear decline in the population in each school. We've been able to look at that, and we're looking to see how best we can do it. In addition to that, I've asked the ministry to look at software programs that allow children to know how they're progressing, and the teachers will know. So you can't move to the next level unless you've completed this set of skills. And on top of that, the President of Guyana has invested significantly in something for the entire regional, which is the digital school, which will allow you to access those skills digitally as well in the primary and the secondary schools. And he is making that available to the entire Caribbean region, not just to the students of Guyana. So I hope that that will help Caroline with respect to some of the support that is needed. We gathering, yes, we can do more and better with the merchandising and memorabilia, and we will certainly make sure that that's taken on board. As to the packages, I'm not in a position to speak, and hopefully, Ian, you can speak to the country at some point about what is being put in place with respect to not just airlift, but with respect to being able to encourage more and more citizens. You know, Eric Williams used to say, half a loaf is better than no loaf at all. 10% of something is better than 100% of nothing. And therefore, we need to be able to see where there are soft periods and to be able to put the packages together. In addition to that, the world is going through a very difficult point in time, and we have to be able to recognize that we have to be nimble, because you can see the collapse of some of these North Atlantic economies potentially before us if we're not careful, and we have to be able, therefore, to be very, very savvy about how we move, when we move, and where we move, and how we attract a wider audience than we have traditionally done for us. Dennis, I agree with you. There's no reason why you should stop gathering. And with the best will in the world, yes, St. Thomas will have people come into it, but this is a wonderful facility here. I was in two minds when asked to be able to come up here, and I insisted that we would come so long as there was the bus transport to bring people from Speightstown, because the important thing about the gathering is that it must be accessible to all. But I also do believe that the more Bajans see what is available in here, and you have how many small shops in here? 85 small shops in here. They're not Cave Shepherd. They're not large companies. They are small people doing artisanal stuff, from food to craft to clothes to jewelry to all kinds of things. And then, as you can see, there are public entertainment spaces and town hall spaces such as this. And this is exactly what we mean, repurposing the old to give us a platform for growth for the new. This was an old factory. There are elements of it that are still very much there in terms of the ironmongery, in terms of some of the equipment, in terms of just the layout. but everything else in it has been brought into the third decade of the 21st century. So we have, as a country that was colonized long ago, to be able to understand how we can take things that are there, retain the essence of what it was intended for in terms of the heritage component, but also create opportunities for new. We brought a number of the CARICOM heads of government here on Friday evening, late after the wrap-up, and they were blown over by the way in which this has been done and how we've been able to do it in a way that integrates small businesses and still creates an opportunity for ordinary people to literally populate it and to be able to enjoy it. And these are the kinds of investments that we want across the country. And Mr. Cato, I think I've spoken to you already. Your member of parliament is well known to you. He's well known to me, but he's also Minister of Ecclesiastical Affairs. So I don't think I need to say any more than that. Look, I want to thank you because these things only work when people use them. And you know, coming forward, I think that some of you from St. Lucie and St. Peter will see that there are going to be some ideas that I'm sure that the cabinet will find appealing, and that there are ways of ensuring that this is not a country where structures of power, be it government or the private sector or whoever, feel that they're omnipotent and omniscient. We must always create the platform for people to be able to speak and to add value. And that is why I've created the Office of Citizen Engagement. On the whole tongue matter, Roy, I would expect that at some point I will have a meeting with the residents who are concerned and the developers, but at the same time, I reserve the right of government to act in the interests of the national condition, because that is the only way this country will stabilize itself in what is a very difficult and uncertain global environment. And at the end of the day, we have choices, and we will make those choices. And I don't mean the government now, I mean as a people. And we have to recognize that if we want to go a certain way and we want to keep elements of the status quo, well, then it means that we're not going to be able to deal with a lot of the other people who have no jobs, who have no housing, and at the end of the day, nobody's giving us a handout anymore. Prime Minister Holness made the same point on Friday night to his own people. We have to find our way in this world. And that is going to mean being sensitive. You do it in your lives all the time, with your children, with your jobs, with everything that you have to balance and to be able to find a way to navigate as we go forward. So once again, let me thank you for coming out. Once again, let me thank the hosts who allowed us to get through our business in good time. And let me simply say, as Dennis said, keep gathering. And for those who clearly can come and sing, there's an idea, Dennis, that maybe you can help with the ministry with. In France, there's a day in June when every village and every community plays music. It's a Festival de la Musique. I know that Ralph was thinking about it as well. I would like to see it in this country, so that on that particular day, whoever can play instruments and whoever can sing all over the country, that you have it. And I would invite you to speak to Chantal about helping us to organize that, right there in the black, about helping us to organize that along with other community practitioners of music, because that will be not only an added attraction for visitors, but it will be an uplifter of the spirit of Bajans. And as you said, it creates the bonds ultimately that will allow people to move to the next level. So thank you, everyone. Get home safely.
So ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of tonight's proceedings. Please travel safely. Thank you so very much. Please travel safely, and the shops are still open. So thank you so very much.
Deep inside, there's only one that's closest to my heart. Wherever I may lay my head, no matter of smiling faces, oh, they mean the world to me. A place where friends are family, a place to stand alone. Barbados will always be home. Barbados, yeah. Barbados, Barbados will always be home.
The Prime Minister's office